Hey guys, in this video I'm going to quickly show you if you're wanting to show steps in your notes on math, like use math equations, math steps, and you want to use the math equation editor in Google Docs. This is how you do that. So let's say there's a problem where it's wanting me to solve an equation. And so let's say the equation, we're going to keep it pretty simple, is 2x plus 1 equals 5. Now, I just typed that in just using the keys on my keyboard. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, I could say, next step, I wanted to subtract 1 from both sides and then have 2x equals 4. There's nothing wrong with using the keys on your keyboard, but sometimes you might want to be typing something that you don't really have the necessary keys on the keyboard to do that. So let's say we're doing something a little bit more complicated, or we're wanting to make things a little bit neater. Where you guys are going to go is you're going to go to Insert, and then you're going to go to this option here, Equation. So let's say actually I was doing a geometry problem where I was finding, say, the volume of a cylinder. So the volume formula for a cylinder, volume equals pi, and so I need to find that symbol pi. So pi is going to be in this first menu, the Greek symbols, and it's right there. So the formula for a cylinder is pi times the radius. So I'm going to type R, and then if you want to do like a squared, there's two options. What you can do is you can either hit Shift and the number 6, and it shifts you up, and the reason why I know that is because there's that little arrow or caret symbol above the 6, and then type in your 2. That's one option. Okay, or I'm going to take that back out. You can go here, and this gives you the option to do a letter, and then this is called a superscript. So I type that in. So I go R, and then I'm going to click the right arrow key on my keyboard to then take me up into the exponent. Type 2. I click the arrow key over once more, puts me back down. So volume is pi r squared times the height. Okay. So if I wanted to do the volume of a cylinder, there's that formula. And let's say the next step is, so I want to say R equals 3 and H equals 2. Like if I wanted to, honestly, I wouldn't use the equation editor for simple stuff like that. And then I'd go underneath it, and now I'm going to type the same stuff in, but with 3 and 2. So 3 squared, and then since we're multiplying here, I'm going to put this is the little dot symbol that we use for multiplication, so times 2. And then let's say I want to simplify that. 3 squared is 9, 9 times 2 is 36, so 36 pi. Okay, so that's kind of how you use the equation editor. So what you might want to do if you're interested in using the equation editor and using Google Docs for your notes and your math focus areas, just kind of play around with the tools that you have here. So this first screen is all of our Greek letter symbols, and most of what you've learned right now, all you're really going to need is just this pi symbol, maybe. Next, these are your operation symbols. So if you want to use the division sign, that's the old school multiplication sign, but most of you guys aren't going to need that. You're in high school now, so you use the dot for multiplication. If you're in Algebra 2, you might want to use the infinity symbol if you're talking about what happens to a graph, or just In later math classes, you use the infinity symbol a little bit more. If you're in geometry, here's your perpendicular symbol. And also, if you're in geometry, here's your triangle symbol. So just kind of look around. The next one here, this is if you're doing inequalities. There's less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Here, this is where you can get square roots. This is where you can type in a fraction. And I showed you this one, like if I wanted to do x squared. You might want to use this one if, let's say, you were wanting to type the slope formula, which would be y2 minus y1. So y2 minus, go back there, y1, if I wanted to do something like that, which of course the whole slope formula has more than that, but that would be the top part of it. And then, so that's your, oops. So those are some of your symbols there. And then the very last one are arrows, which just depending on what you're doing, you may or may not need that. Okay, so that's a little crash course on how to use the equation editor that is in Google Docs.